The Join John series, where we'll be interacting with a host of industry speakers. I'm John Vincent, co-founder of nicheBrains and the host for this series. Just a quick brief about nicheBrains. nicheBrains is a business transformation platform which connects millions of SMEs with the best of brains across the globe to adopt digital transformation to help them grow their business exponentially. Transformation. In today's session, we have a wonderful guest, Falguni Desai, who was the Chief Operating Officer, IT for VFS Global. She's an entrepreneurial technology leader, a manager of the enterprise-wide change via digital enablement, a proven and proponent of next generation digital enablement. She's also the recipient of the 2020 CIO of the Year Award from Women Tech and 2015 Next CIO Award. She's a specialist in designing project roadmaps and best practice product route to market initiatives that maximize ROI, to empower management teams to be an integral part of the business success by providing inclusive direction and exercising sophisticated people management techniques to strategically deliver complex product and technology solutions. So welcome to the episode, Falguni. Great to have you. It will be great if we can start with a brief introduction about yourself.
Thank you, Johnson, for the invite. It would be I am more than happy. It's my pleasure to share my thoughts on this platform. A brief about myself. I have been in IT industry for almost 22 years. Actually, one of my cousin used to work with Apple. He showed me the first Apple computer around 24 years back, and that's how I got interested in technology. And I started off as an engineer with an NBFC industry. Learned a lot over there, and then kind of progressed from there. So I started from HTML programming, and today I do. In 22 years, I left the organization of VFS as a deputy CIO. Currently, I'm also consulting CTO with one of the gaming industries in Chennai, which is by the DJ, and they make gaming platforms for poker, rummy, and all those games like that. And I also do other projects which are related to if there's a strategy project or project management things as and when they come up. So I'm more of an independent consultant today, or take up projects as and when they come. It's been a long journey, right? From a programmer, you then move on to becoming a project manager, from a team leader to a project manager. You see technology changes. I started way back when it was like ASP, and today we are talking about microservices. So in the last 2 decades, technology has changed like nobody's way. So I learned it along the way. The best ways for me specifically was on the job training. I am not a computer science graduate. I had done my bachelor's in botany. So it was a completely different field from where I came into, where I jumped into. Right. But in between, I did at that point of time, NIT, Boston, those companies were known for training computer graduates and stuff like that. So that's what I got my training. And from there on, it has been a long journey so far. And this is where I am today, John. And thank you very much again for calling me on the session.
Wonderful, wonderful again. To have you as well. So, Falguni, so today's, I'm just looking at today's topic. It's a pretty interesting one. We're talking about the Indian workforce today and tomorrow. So, speaking on the topic, so what do you think are the typical workforce types that are available in India today, and how do you see the changes happening in the workforce post the Gen Z and these millennials, right? So, how do you see that?
So I would like to take my example against my daughter, and then there is a generation in between that as well. So when I started, as I said, way back in 22 years, we were given that principles that you need to buy a house, you need to have a good financial background, and you need to save money, you need to have an LIC policy. So with our upbringing, we were always clear that the 3 basic necessities of the life are the course for which we were working for. So we spent a lot of time buying a house, ensuring that the loan is given off, then buying the cars, getting into from middle class to an upper middle class. So our fight was always towards that basic necessities of the life, and then ensuring that our kids go to the best colleges and schools that are available in the world. So that is our generation, which we call as Generation X. We gave birth, or in the process, there was Generation Z, which was getting developed, a bit different from what we were. As I said, 2 years technology changed. So 2 years people also changed. They got a lot of, so for us, anything outside India was only seen in movies. So we always used to say, oh, this is But if you look at generation X, they got better exposure because by then people like us would have started earning the basic necessities are there. Now we want to go out abroad for an international holiday. So they got that exposure, which we thought that it was only in movies. So they were one step ahead of it. So generation X had parents who have taken care of their basic necessities. They have to now move up to the next level. They weren't like very far away, but they want to now move on. So if my dad was a project manager, I would like think about becoming a technical leader or somebody at a CTO level. So along with that came in the generation millennial, which is right now working. They had a completely different exposure. They're not concerned with the basic necessities because everything is there with them. They've got the best of the exposure in the world. Now, when all these things are there, the basic question that comes to those kids is, why am I alive? What am I doing in my life? What am I doing for other people? Am I giving it back to the society? For us, it was like, I am creating something which is for my house. They are now thinking that since these all things are there, now I need to start thinking about society. What is racism? All those words, feminism, all those words have just started coming in the last 2 decades. We were never into that words because we were too hard bent on getting our basic necessities met. So now for them, those necessities do not exist. So those are a different generation. But again, as I said, these are three generations that we see. They are together. Generation Z is still trying to meet the ends, trying to see, okay, but they are not going to buy houses. They are not going to take loans for them. They believe in renting it out, enjoy for the moment and forget. Generation millennial, which we talk about, millennials are way beyond that. They are thinking about, okay, even if I don't earn, I'm ready to work in a McDonald's, but I will find out the meaning of my life, which we call as a midlife crisis. So that is the clear three generations. And there's a huge gap. And that may be due to because of the exposure they got, because of the financial stability that this generation's got. So I think there is a lot of mix match. And hence you would see different personality and different way of handling this workforce when they join the organization.
Right. So, but then we're talking about the change in the millennials and the Gen Z and all of that we're talking about. But then, as we see, more and more, why is there a shortage of this skilled people across organizations then?
There will always be, as I said, there are two reasons for it. One is post-pandemic, people got a lot of time, specifically Generation Z and millennials, sitting at home, and people like us as well, who suddenly started finding the meaning of life. So what I've been doing for years together is they started introspecting themselves. Am I doing the right thing, or I'm just trying to do things which are meeting my ends being met altogether? So that was one of the generations. Like for me, after 21 years in the corporate industry, I can't go back to the industry now. So these are this kind of people who are moving out of the industry completely. There are people whom I have known have stopped become farmers. They like organic farming. People who have done their own startups altogether, which are very small in nature, but they won't. So pandemic has given them that introspection that I'm not going to do the same thing again and again. My life is not, I'm not sure how my life is going to be. What is my next bigger, like pandemic, something else happens. Where am I going to do? Am I going to wait for me to make the change? So they're taking that risk, which was expected after 5-10 years. They're taking that right now. The other thing is that there is a technology change from what we were looking at 2 years back in the post 2 years. So digital transformation, you talk about mixed reality, virtual reality, all of these things are now becoming a core requirement for any organization. And for that, what we have taught our students in the college was Java, C++, PHP and stuff. From the world that it has changed, has gone to machine learning, AI and everything, they need to be reskilled into those new technologies. So A is that we do not have the right technology. India was supposed to be the technology hub for everything, as long as it was basic coding to be done. Now we are talking about machine learning, algorithms to be written. Those people need to have that right from life up to now to actually give the output that is required. So the mundane job, I always used to say that India is good for giving monkey level jobs. So if you have like 50,000 developers, you tell them to write A plus B equals to C, you will get the exact output. There would be mistakes, but yes, that is the kind of work that we used to get in India. Now they're asking for more skilled labor. Skilled labor is people who know machine learning, who know AI, who know how the business strategies are, IT strategies are. That is where we see a gap over there. And people who are experienced to an extent are now trying to find their own ways of living their life. So hence there is a dearth. And plus the third option is the startups paying money, like everybody's getting series A, B, C, F funding, and they are paying everything up to it. And knowing millennials and Generation Z, they believe that if I'm able to earn it today, I'll not think about the next 6 years. Give me money today, I'll join you. So they have seen people that got like 6 offer letters on the hand, they keep it on the table, whichever is higher, they will join. Even if it doesn't give you a job security or a job satisfaction, they are concerned only and only about the dollar value right now. So that's the reason there is a huge gap. And I think it should continue for the next 6 months to a year.
Right, right. So, again, we're talking about here, the shortage of people, and obviously we've discussed on the points as to, why we have this shortage, especially in terms of skills, in terms of the millennials, the way they are, looking at life as such itself. But then, it's changing pretty fast, and obviously people have to start reskilling themselves. So, but then how do you think that the workforce is going to change, in the coming years? And we're talking about, automation, robotics, and what kind of impact these kind of, skills could have to the workforce?
Have a major workforce. It is one of the studies says that in the next 5 years, whatever, or at least a decade, whatever manual work that we are doing right now will be automated. So, right, if I give you an example, in Dubai, there is a first 3D building which has been created.
Yeah.
No human being used. It's a 3D printed building or a construction which was made by a 3D printers. If that happens, as a country, as India, we give around 10 to 20% of labor people across the world. Now, if that 10-20% people are going to lose their jobs in the next few years because of the 3D printers, we need to think, what are you going to do with that workforce? Even if you look at it from the other industry like accountants and all those, we do a lot of accounting which is in Excel files because we do a lot of reverse calculation, and there is something else done. Now, with all this automation and everything, analytics coming into picture, we need to think about what are those guys also going to do. We will have a lot of workforce which will be not having a specific kind of a profile in the next 5 to 10 years. Even the programmers who are working right now on the technology that they are working right now, that may not be even viable for the next 5 years. I'm saying with the way technology is changing so fast.
Right.
So right from a labor job person who's working right now, if there is like the Flipkart or Amazon who's using people for sending courier from one place to, deliveries are coming to them. But if drones take over, do we require those people? We don't know, because drones, if they are approved, drones can do a delivery doorstep to me, and which is being tried out in China and in India as well. So once those workforce is getting out of that, they don't have it, there would be a sea of a change in terms of people not having the profile, or their profile which is valid now will not be valid in the next 5-10 years. And that is where, if you have to prepare ourselves as a country, or as an organization, or as being the next generation people, we need to start reskilling those people. We need to start thinking that if I get so many laborers coming back to India, what am I going to give them? How is that the economy is going to handle it? What are we going to train them? How are we going to reskill them to ensure that they have the right kind of opportunities and they become an important workforce? If that happens, then it will affect our GDP. Everything needs. I think it's high time we need to start rethinking, because it is happening as we speak right now, John.
Right. So, I think so. So this is basically, both are interrelated. When I say, the skills which are already, certain things which are going to be automated, or which, right, those especially mundane jobs, they are going to get replaced. So it doesn't mean that as such, or the work as such is going to get reduced. Only thing is, people have to obviously get themselves reskilled, such that we create kind of new opportunities for them. Is that something that I can analyze from your statement, Falguni?
Absolutely. So we need whatever is being mundane done today. We call it as an RPO, machine learning, AI, robotics, or anything that goes forward to it. Those people have some amount of the subject matter expert. Whatever said and done, AI cannot emulate a human brain. So they have got something which is still outside the system. Okay. And then we need to slowly train them in terms of, my algorithm is doing 80% of the work now, 20% of the work which is still done is that they need to be reskilled in terms of how AI needs to be used. How is that they're going to work together with them? And the remaining people who are not there, then what are the other industries that I can reskill them, where there would be a job possible, and we'll be able to give them that opportunities accordingly. So we will have to rethink about the entire thing. So as in when an organization picks up RPA or machine learning or AI, okay, the organization's objective is very clear. I need to save my important cost, which
Right.
is the people cost. So other
Absolutely.
than the infrastructure, the second biggest cost comes out as people. If
Right.
I'm able to save people, if I'm able to save money over there, they don't think about the people who are going to be released from the job once the automation comes in. So as an individual, I think it's our responsibility as well, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you need to keep on reskilling. Think about, okay, what are the next 2 years going to look like? What is that I'm going to do? So,
Right.
and that is where I think the millennial work style works. Okay, if they're not happy with it, they will retrain themselves. They are quicker on their feet. Okay, I'm not working out this, I'll do this. And maybe train myself and do those things. You have to move towards the niche market which is available rather than being in the generalistic field. Right now, India is a generalistic market. You'll find people who are doing very generalistic work. Everybody now slowly needs to move towards the specialization market where they are known only for one specific work, but they can never go out of the market once that is done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if also this is from the organization's side, I'm just looking at it. Obviously, what happens is there's going to be a sea change in terms of what kind of technology organizations are also going to be needing down in the future. Does it really make sense that the organizations only focus on reskilling? And I'm just looking at it from the organization side, even though we've talked in specific about, people reskilling, I'm looking at it from an organization side. So when organizations, do you think that, they should primarily only reskill people, or they should also look at probably use some kind of skills which are, outside available in the market on a temporary basis because the technologies are changing, the skills are changing? Is it also advisable that they look at using some kind of skills on a temporary basis, get the transformation moving, and parallelly as well train? Is that would you like to have some thoughts?
Absolutely. That is something that most of the organizations will adapt to. People who have been working with them in their organizations may not be apt enough to take up the next transformation that they're looking at. May it be robotic process, may it be RPA, may it be machine learning. So most of these companies reach out to the other people in the organization or independent consultants. They say that, okay, create us a strategy, create us in helping doing that. Once and use those same people to ensure that the people working in the organization are also along with that in the journey. And that becomes a good match where the person outside comes in, gives you the strategy, gets you the implementation done, hands over to the people in the organization, and that person moves out. So that person comes in as a subject matter expert or a strategy expert or a delivery expert, just does everything that is required, hands over the entire thing to them, and then he moves out. So because you will still require people who are doing the maintaining those applications, maintaining the technology for it. So a subject matter expert, and today knowing because of the people not being available on a full-time job, I think that is where the consultants play a very important role. Although consultants as an experience in India is not a good word that is used, but you would require some kind of, let's say if I'm looking out for an ECM product where I want to do my digitization of my documents. Now, either I can reach out to companies or I can reach out to an individual who will help me create the strategy, help me implement it, and he moves out, and the remaining part of the work is what organization and their people can do.
I think that really makes sense what we're discussing here, Falguni. So I'm just a little bit trying to summarize what we discussed. So some of the points that at least I would like to take away is obviously with respect to the first, you talked about the Gen Z, the style of working that they do. They want to quickly learn something, probably move on to the next thing. So it's not that they are like they want to build a kind of back base for them, a history for them, but they're looking at what's changing and how we should quickly adapt to that. That's the first thing which I see. The second thing is what skills that we know today is going to be slowly obsolete because the generation is changing pretty fast. The technologies are changing pretty fast in this new millennium. So people have to quickly start adapting and building new skills. That's the second thing which I take away. And when I look at the final one from an organization's perspective, it's like either they could have an option to probably build skills over today with the transformation happening pretty fast, it's always advisable. Probably they look at either using probably a company, a third-party company, which has the skills to start off on their transformation, or independent experts, obviously, like you, who've been, on the strategy side, who are seasoned, who can be part of their initial kind of strategy, get them rolling, and as they build it up, probably they can build their own internal skills and resources and take it forward. Will that be fine, right?
Absolutely. That's right,
Fantastic.
Johnson.
Thank you so much, Falguni, for your insights today. So with that, I'd just like to open it up for any audience questions that we have.
John, can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead, Chirag.
So, Falguni, you spoke about upskilling and reskilling. So, there is a challenge these days that enterprise level organizations have multiple people for to fill in gaps when somebody is off for training or somebody is off for upskilling, or they are trying to have a batch of people reskilled. But when you come to smaller organizations, it could be MSME startups, especially the startup zone nowadays is booming with new ideas and new startups floating around. Now, these guys are always strapped for funds, right? Because it's a startup. And the startups can't have redundant manpower present to fill in for gaps. Now, at that point, if somebody has to be reskilled or upskilled, do you think it would be on the job, or there should be some kind of a sprint in place that needs to be put in?
I think that is where the edutech industry is taking. So you have Udemy and you have got other websites where they have started courses which are 7 to 9 in the morning or 7:30 to 9:30 in the evening. So wherever is that they want them, if they want their people to either reskill themselves or they are paying for it. So what I had seen is that they send their bigger of the organization send their people employees to London School of Economics or business, but that's only for a very small period. But what they are saying is, if you do the course, we will pay you the entire 100% if you clear those things, and you have a contract with us for the next 1 year. The advantages are the employee gets a degree, and the other person is also not losing the employee in the process. Knowing that there's stiff competition of even retaining the employee, they would give the employee an option. Okay, whatever works for you, we would say either in the morning or in the evening. We will be even ready to give you a week off or work from home kind of a facility. But we want you to reskill, because rather than me spending that efforts of another 6 months finding that person in the organization, whether it's fit for the organization, for the culture or not, it's may as well that I use my internal resources, give them all the opportunities. By virtue of it, I can retain him, and I get a good resource which is staying back in the organization as well. So it will be a balancing act with the organization, and there is no guarantee after that also the employee will stay back. To be very honest, with the way the market is going on, even after you give them like $1,000 for the extra course that he has done, you never know, he will get it from somebody else. I'm getting the reimbursement done, plus I'm getting a joining bonus, so I'm leaving you. So that's the situation right now. And as I said, Generation Z and Millennial are not concerned with anything else. They are saying, as long as I'm getting money, and right now they are on a very high demand. They're saying, forget it, you have done a lot for me. I've worked for you. It's a give and take relationship. You have not done me any favors. Our generation used to feel that, oh, we've worked for 25 years in the same organization. Function or an entire ceremony was getting created. Oh, and today when somebody used to tell me that, and I was like, okay, it's good, you're working. And if the millennials listen to us, they're saying, you've gone crazy. How can you work in the same organization for more than 2 years also? So even it is something that you can give them the options. Learning and development departments are getting created. There are a lot of online courses. They will do it. There is no guarantee that they will stay back. It's a risk that, and it depends on the individual also. If he is getting to reskill himself and it's getting at the company's cost, he will be much keen on doing it. He finds the next opportunity.
Actually, this is something interesting also, Falguni, because I've read somewhere, one of the CEOs saying, what if we train them and they leave? Okay, and the answer is what if you don't train them and you just keep them like that? What happens? It's the same, right? You don't move on. move on. Might as well, train them and, see how best you can, keep them with you. That's what that's always the best way to do it.
So earlier, people were very loyal to the organizations. They were there in the organization. They have a love towards the organization, which has now remained to very specific boutique companies. I've seen companies in Chennai, Hyderabad, and in Pune, which are like smaller companies of 150 people. They have not left the organization for years because they've grown with the organization. They don't have any ESOPs. They don't have any stock or investment in the company or any ESOPs as well. But the amount of home feeling that they give in that smaller states is more important for them as compared to moving out of the organization. But in a company like TCS, where I've got 150,000 employees, they are saying that, okay, if next goes in, somebody else will come. And they will take that risk. Okay, if you're going, I'll get somebody else. With the brand itself, they will, by virtue of it, they will say, okay, I'm more welcome in terms of freshers and training them rather than keeping the people with higher salaries and trying to retain them. I'm not going to put in that efforts. So that's always it's a balancing act which the organization will always have to do.
Very true.
Now, I have another question. Falguni, to follow up on your points about millennial and Generation Z. Now, there is always a trade-off where the organizations have a senior, more experienced team in place, like it could be the manager or a VP or a AVP in place. And then we have these younger bloods who enter the professional stream. And there is always a mismatch in the sense that the perspective that the senior member has and the perspective that the junior member has, there is always a clash. And is there, I mean, I'm sure you must have encountered this in your career. So do you see there are some tricks or there are some best practices that we can follow to balance this, imbalance?
In an organization, you will always find a mixed bag of people. So when you give out a project, also there will be senior. But as a leader, how you manage that team is the most important thing. An organization should always have experienced as well as they should have a churn of resources which are new, which brings in fresh blood into the organization. Having said that, if the senior people in the security towards the people who have joined in the organization, they do not respect them, they do not take care of them, this team is never going to work. So I think the sole responsibility lies with the person who's heading the team. There will always be fresh blood ready to accept. You will have to be a good leader, accept their feedback and see what are the changes that can bring. The moment your senior management or your senior leaders become stubborn in terms of our ways are good, we are not going to change. The last 2 years of pandemic has shown that everything can change in a moment. So how much open are you to accept the changes? How much open are you to read to those ideas is the important thing. And that is something as a leadership, as a leader qualities, listening to it. Looking to their feedback, how do you apply it? Have an open conversation with them. Accept that I have not understood anything. You have got something on the table, accept it and move on. But I think that is the best thing that anybody can make. A person who's got experience works on the strategy. The other person cannot give you anything, cannot be the answer. He will actually give you more ideas because you've been working in the same organization for a period of 5 years. You've maybe not seen the outside world. So there's always a mixed bag, and mixed bag always works best for the organization.
Perfect.
No, perfect.
Thank you so much, Falguni.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Another question.
Yeah.
So since we are talking about the mixed bag of team, what would you think is the best asset that can add the people with right set of background, groundwork, and certifications, smartness, or the people with a number of degrees and processed way of approaching a problem?
So if you look at it today, also in the market, IIT, IIMs will get the job much faster than any other who is just like, for me, if I would have been looking out for a job today who have just done NIT, I would have taken me years to get a job, to be very honest. But and that is the process. The reason for it is because HR gets thousands and millions of applications. They want to scrutinize rather than going through all of them and finding it out. They will take up, okay, IITians with 10 years of experience. Okay, I'll take them. So that is one way that the HR thinks. But for me, if I have to take a or anything, for me, the attitude and the way he is compatible to the belief of the organization, how would he fit into the organization, are the two things. I would never ask him about whether he knows C or C++, how is his code going to be, because Google gives you an answer to everything. Within 10 minutes, you'll find the same code written by some other company. You can copy it and change it and apply to your application as well. So my thing is he ready to hear it? Is he ready? Does he have an attitude to know what the business of the organization? Is it fitting into that, in the culture that we are creating? Is he open to feedback? What is his attitude towards that? If you have that person with the right attitude and the right behavior, you can train them on anything, and he himself will be motivated to train himself in the organization. Does he see in the organization? Those are the things that my questions are answered. I wouldn't say whether it's an IITian or he would be even a graduate. I wouldn't. It wouldn't change any view for me. So for me, these are the base core qualities for a person to join an organization.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think we're done with questions. So yeah. So again, thanks a lot for all your inputs and thoughts, and I believe there's quite a lot for the audience to take away today, Falguni. So if there's anyone who would like to get connected with Falguni, or please reach out to the support at @nicheBrains.aa or to me on Vincent at nicheBrains.aa. So thank you once again, Falguni, for being with us today on this episode.
Thank you, John. Thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for calling me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone for joining us in this session today. It was wonderful to have you all. Hope to see you all in the next episode of Join John soon. Bye for signing off. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.